welcome back to Everything's Plastic. Back again with another Marvel Legends action figure review. Carrying on with the Thor Love and Thunder wave. This is Jane Foster, Mighty Thor. Let's look at the side of the box. Same artwork on the other side. Mjolnir on the top, barcodes and everything else on the bottom. And some artwork on the back. There's also a little read up there as well that says Jane Foster's life is forever changed when she mysteriously comes to possess the hammer Mjolnir and the power of Mighty Thor. If you're unfamiliar with the wave, these are the figures that are in the series. You got Thor, Mighty Thor, Gore, King Valkyrie, Ravager Thor, Star-Lord, and Groot. We have all our figures done with the exception of Mighty Thor and Star-Lord. Each of these come with a build-figure piece which assembles Korg, which is a pretty cool figure. He is pretty similar to the previous release. There's enough differences to make me want to complete the full build-figure. That's pretty much it for packaging. Let's crack this one open and get a closer look. Okay, here she is outside of the box. Before we get started, guys, if you want to do us a giant favor, please click on that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Help us get to our goal of 400 subscribers. She comes with an extra head sculpt. This one is a pretty nice head sculpt as well. Cool details in the helmet. Overall paint application and everything else is pretty nice. You can see a little defect right here. Other than the defects on top of the helmet, it's a pretty cleanly painted figure. See the cool detail in her eyes as well. Overall design of hair is pretty nice. You got some layering, some texturing in there. She comes with Mjolnir, the reassembled Mjolnir. You can see all the cracks and everything else in the actual hammer. I think they should have put a bit of silver paint or something on it. I mean, you painted the handle. I think they should have at least painted the hammer as well. Still looks pretty cool overall. And it comes with the right leg for Korg. See pretty cool detail on this one. A lot of this wave is pretty colorful, which I don't mind at all. It's a pretty solid wave overall. Alright, so now we get to the actual figure itself. Pretty good job with the face overall. Hair looks cool. Like I said, it could use a little bit of a wash like the other one. You can see on top there, it is a little bit darker on top. I guess his helmet hair. I don't know what it is, but it is a different color. I like the nice soft cape. Cool design on the cape overall. I like the design, just kind of flows straight down. I think Valkyrie was kind of like flared over to the side. This one just has a more natural flow. I like all the folds and everything in it as well. This wave's been pretty solid. Almost all the figures in it have double jointed pinless elbows. Especially the female ones. I think Valkyrie came with double jointed pinless elbows as well. It's actually a well made figure. Really like the overall appearance of this one. Pretty clean paint application overall. You can see all the detail and everything in her costume or her suit or whatever you want to call it. Down in here. You can see some folds in the upper part of her legs as well. See the detail into the sculpt there. Pretty cool, and even some painted parts on the back. Cool detail on the lower part of her arm, on her gauntlets, wrists, armor, whatever you want to call it. And then we get down to the knees. Pretty cool here. We have double jointed pinless knees as well. Pretty cool detail and sculpt in the boots, much better than the previous design. I'll do a comparison later on anyways. And on the bottom there, everything's painted good, man. I like the overall design. I think they did an excellent job with this one so far. This is one of the most consistent waves that we had in a while, at least that I own anyways. So I'm really pleased with this one. Every time I get a little bit frustrated with Marvel Legends and say that I'm done, then they always release a figure or a full wave that kind of sucks me back in. I guess their marketing team knows what they're doing, man. And their production team, like I said, is doing a pretty good job too. These are pretty decent figures. So now we had a closer look overall. You guys know the routine. Let's go over articulation. Her head goes down this far, it goes back this far. Obviously, it's going to be somewhat restricted by her hair. It is a little bit soft, but it's not soft enough that you can still get a full movement out of her head. There is some side to side. You do get a full rotation as well. The arms go up this far. They go all the way around. You do have your bicep swivel as well. You have your double jointed pinless elbows, which are great, man. Look at the range of motion out of those. Fantastic. I think they did an amazing job with that. So then we get down to the wrist. Her wrist goes all the way around, back and forth. And for this one, it's all the way around and up and down. You do have a ball joint here, so you have good movement out of the diaphragm joint. It goes all the way back. Goes forward this far. You do have some side to side, full rotation. There is no rotation at the waist at all. It does have upper thigh cut. You do have your double jointed pinless knees. There's no boot cut or anything like that. Or ankles. It goes back this far, forward this far, and you get full rotation, which is pretty standard with all these Marvel Legends anyways. Overall, man, I think the articulation is pretty solid for this one. It's pretty decent. So let's switch out that head sculpt. Forgot to mention too, there's no extra hands or anything with this one. Let's pop Mjolnir in our hands. Man, I gotta say that Mjolnir is like massive. That's a really big hammer compared to the previous version of Jane Foster. I think it's a little too big, man. I think it doesn't scale well with this figure at all. Let's do a comparison. You see here with the comparison, man, look at the size difference in Mjolnir. I think it's just way too big. This one fits way better. These two are pretty much the same size overall. So that being said, I do think Mjolnir is just a little bit too big on the new release. There's a side-by-side comparison. You can see the size difference there, man. It's just massive. And like I mentioned earlier too, this one just has a bit of paint on it. This one here is just a plain piece of plastic, so obviously this one here looks a lot better. Now the handle on this version looks 10 times better as well. And even the little strap on bottom is way bigger as well. This is what I mentioned earlier about boots, the design of the boots. Obviously this is all one mold, and down here we have this little part here that kind of moves around and just fits down over. Not really a fan of that design at all. It just doesn't go together good. It doesn't fit together nice. You can see a big gap and everything there. So, really glad they improved on that. And the other part of it, this cape kind of ports into the back and just kind of lays on over the shoulders, and it does come out from time to time. So overall, a lot more improvements on the newer version. This cape is joined on, and it's all part of the mold. There's no peg or anything or to port it in on the back because you don't really need it. It fits nice. It's not loose, it's not sloppy, it just fits on nice and tight and looks great. You can see the helmet is pretty much the same design. Some changes, obviously one's comic book, one's MCU, but you can see the same design on front there. Pretty similar. I do like how cool her eyes looks there, man. Like this is just more natural eyes here on this one. But you can see here, like she's got white eyes, man. Kind of pierces through your soul. I think it's pretty awesome overall. Oh, let me know in the comments below, guys, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the new MCU version, or do you prefer the older comic book version? They both have their pros and cons, but I think the new and improved MCU version is a much better figure. Just in case you guys are wondering, let's see if this head actually fits on. And it doesn't fit on at all. There's a really deep socket here and it just kind of fits down over. But if you just want to pose it and not move it around, but it's not that bad of a fit. It doesn't peg on or anything like that, it just kind of fits down over. But it doesn't look too bad if you did want to just lay it on top, if you want to pose it on your shelf or anything like that. But like I said, if you want to do some poses, some flying poses or something like that, it's probably not going to stay on. You're going to need a bit of tack or something just to keep it in place. Alright, so here she is next to all the other figures in the wave with the exception of Star-Lord. What you can see here, she's pretty much the same size as Valkyrie, just a little tiny bit smaller, a little tiny bit shorter than Gore, and a bit taller than Groot. But Thor actually towers over her quite a bit. She is pretty standard size for a female Marvel Legend. Overall, she scales nicely with the rest of the wave. Let me know in the comments below which is your favorite figure so far out of this wave. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a pretty solid wave overall. Pretty much like every single figure that's in this wave. Can't really complain whatsoever. I stopped buying full waves unless there's a Build-A-Figure that I really wanted. Definitely couldn't pass on this one. We'll do one more comparison to the Walgreens exclusive Binary. See, Binary is just a tad bit taller as well. So that pretty much wraps up our unboxing and review. Overall, I'm going to give this figure a 9 out of 10. With the exception of Mjolnir just being scaled a little bit too big and a lack of paint on the overall hammer itself. Overall, like I mentioned earlier, the paint application on this one is pretty clean. There's a defect on the top there and a little bit messy down on the bottom here on the lower part of her boot. Other than that, the paint application is pretty solid all around. Do like the new softer material that they are using for the cape, and I like all the detail and the overall design of her uniform or costume, armor, whatever you want to call it. So fantastic job on this one, and I think it deserves a 9 out of 10 overall. Not to mention the solid articulation as well. Really love the double jointed pinless joints. I think the new design looks awesome. I think Hasbro's doing a fantastic job there with those. It's something that we should have had for a long time now. At least we're finally getting it with the newer figures. So that's it for me. That pretty much wraps up our unboxing and review. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this figure. Let me know what you think of this wave overall. And let me know, are you excited as I am to finally see this movie? Big fan of Thor. Thor is one of my favorite MCU characters overall. I'm definitely super excited to actually see this movie. If you like our video, don't forget to click on that like button. If you like our content and you want to support the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Keep collecting and stay safe.